Hello everyone, it's your favorite Busa boy, clammy pubes, fuzzy nudes, Yammie Noob. Today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of Supersport bikes. It's really easy for beginners to sit behind a computer screen and think, yes, that R6 is everything I want, when you can't feel the lower back pain it's going to cause, nor have any idea how much it actually sucks to take on long trips. They're great bikes, don't get me wrong, but they're very purpose-driven. Let's go over some of the reasons why they're awesome and why they are stupid to own. This is a follow-up to our last video, why naked bikes absolutely are the best. Be sure to check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. Now let's get into it. Image and style. At one point in your normie cager life, you saw a crotch rocket scream by and probably decided that getting one would be the best life decision you've ever made. To get on one of these two-wheel death machines just feels like some sort of calling. Well, if you're on this channel, then you were listening. From the first sight and sound of a sport bike to maybe even witnessing a street Rossi Dragon E, crack a nooner, or maybe even squid stunt on the highway, something told you that a Supersport was badass. Well, you're either on your way to getting one or maybe you already have. Congratulations, we all have the same mental disorder. For some of us riders, there's nothing else that compares to being inches away from the pavement as we lean our way through corners at high speed, or when we squeeze our legs together and hold onto the gas tank for dear life as we twist open the throttle on a straightaway. It can become an addiction, and it's probably what got you hooked in the first place. The image and style of a Supersport is alluring to many, and trust me, there are riders in their 50s that won't give it up for a cruiser. We love what we love, and nothing's gonna change that. Do you know what other image and style is alluring to many? Your pubes. Well, your shaved pubes, and probably only for your spouse. That's right, Manscaped has the goods to make your image and style appealing once again. If you haven't checked them out yet, their Lawnmower 3.0 is still new to the market. It's got a higher revving 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and it charges via a USB charging dock. It's got a no-slip grip handle and adjustable trimmer guards. You'll be well on your way to a hairless and gooch-free ride in no time. 8 out of 10 partners prefer someone with a shaved downstairs, so if you're a single squid and you're out there in the marketplace for another squidette or squid, I don't know what your preferences are, make sure you got yourself trimmed up. So click the link down below, tell them Yammie sent you by using the code Yammie20 to save 20% off your order, and of course, shipping is always free. So head over to manscaped.com using the link down below, use the code Yammie20, get yourself 20% off, and you will also get free shipping. Do the right thing. Shave your junk. Let's talk about speed. Well, if going fast is your thing, then a Supersport bike is a remedy for your disease. There is no other mode of transportation on the ground that doesn't require an FAA clearance that is as fast and affordable as Supersport motorcycles are. Yes, there are rare cases where a hyped up supercars can dump on a Turbo Busa, but considering the sheer speed a stock Hayabusa can reach and its cost is under $10,000 used, you won't find thrills for so cheap anywhere else. You can literally buy a busted up leader bike that'll rip to 180 miles per hour for under $2,500. You're welcome. If it isn't straight line performance that gets you going, well, cornering is another awesome aspect of speeding on a bike. Cars simply turn at high speeds. Sometimes they drift or really need to use that heel toe action around a bend, and it's quite cute if you ask me. When you corner high speeds on a bike, sometimes your knees drag, your elbows or even parts of the bike touch the ground. There is no greater thrill, in my opinion, than to corner and execute a fine line on a motorcycle. I don't know of anything else I compare to the thrill of cornering to. Some people have described it as divorcing a Tiffany. Price. As I mentioned before, there aren't any cheaper options for going insane amounts of speed so quickly as a Supersport. Granted, anything over 300 cc's can't really even be used to its full potential on the street, but this is America. We sell 600 horsepower cars every day that'll only use a third of their speedometers legally, so why not a bike that does it even faster? For under $5,000, you can literally have a bike that does 0 to 60 in roughly 3 seconds, the quarter mile in about 10 or 11, and tops out at around 155 miles per hour. If you picked up a leader bike, then expect your acceleration to improve and watch out for those 180 mile per hour top speeds. Very few cars on the street can compare to these numbers. If you happen to be beaten by a Bugatti, oh well, your bike will still be faster than 99% of the cars on the street for a fraction of the cost. It's almost scary to think that in the US you can ride a Supersport with literally no experience. All you need is a learner's permit and you're good to go. Welcome to freedom, I guess. Leave your engine classes outside of this country. Sometimes I wonder why car enthusiasts aren't more into bikes. For everything that they're spending to bring their cars into the 12s or 11s at the track, they could have that level of performance on a stock sport bike. Just saying. Mods and tuning. So let's say hypothetically that you came over to bikes from the car scene. Well, you can mod bikes too. One of the reasons why we love Supersport so much is because they have the most performance mods compared to other bikes. I already did a video on the first mods you should perform on your bike. They're very easy to modify and work on, and you can constantly change the characteristics by swapping out sprockets, exhaust, or Rossi forbids, stretching it. That's for drag racing only, my dudes. The level of customization on a Supersport just makes it that much more fun. Everyone can have an exhaust and they don't have to be all the same. You can also tune your bike to fit your needs and requirements. But let's talk about cons. Nothing in life is perfect, not even a Panigale V4R. Well, maybe we'll make a little bit of exception for that bike. Here are a few cons to having a Supersport and why they're a little stupid. The riding ergonomics. The design of the Supersport is intended for one thing, racing. There is no doubt about it because the positions in which the rider sits on the bike are probably closest thing to becoming a contortionist on two wheels. For short rides, the laps around the track, and other events where the duration of the bike will be limited, Supersports are very fun, exciting, and they work super well. For a long trip, not so much. The rider is scrunched up with the knees touching elbows, neck outstretched and curved upwards. The lower back is just being beaten on from the rider from flicking it side to side. The position of all the controls make it so the rider can shift, throttle, and brake as fastly and efficiently as possible. For the rider, though, it can become punishment to manipulate the controls for a long period of time or even stay in that full tuck position. In all honesty, how long do you want to stay squished up on top of a gas tank, clenching on with your knees going triple-digit speeds? We all love it, it's just not bearable for hours at a time. Sit on a cruiser and tell me you wouldn't want that level of comfort on your R1. Speed and power. Another con is the fact that most Supersports can't utilize their full potential on the streets. Between the fact that speed limits only go to about 75 in the US and that Supersports powers kick in at the higher RPMs, it makes it quite useless and stupid to have a Supersport street bike, but we do it anyways. 600cc bikes have their power kick in at high RPMs and are only good for a few thousand RPMs. There's not too much down low, so these bikes have to be revved up high to be worthy of riding. 0 to 60 in first gear, it's not a problem on most 600s. 0 to 100 on a leader bike, that happens in first gear too. It's insane to think that motorcycles with this much potential for speed and acceleration are just riding around the road, like nothing. Lack of storage. Just like trunk space on an exotic car, sport bikes have a very limited cargo space, if you can even call it that. If it fits inside of a sandwich bag, it may fit in the tail of your bike. Who knows, it might even be too big. This is another aspect that takes away from comfort. Riding with the backpack changes weight distribution, how the bike is handled and leaned over in corners, so if you have to ride with your sport bike with the backpack on, you're kind of killing the whole purpose of having a sport bike. It's okay, we still deal with it on our two-wheel babies anyways. You can get saddlebags and attach things to the tail of your bike. They do have such things. Because of the nature of weight balance and aerodynamics, a lot, as in all sport bike riders, never keep their saddlebags on unless they're going somewhere for a long distance trip. If riding around the country with saddlebags on your tail is your kind of thing, then you might want to consider riding a different sort of bike. Price. Did I mention price is a pro? Well, the other side of the coin is that price can become a con, especially when you're trying to buy new or very lightly used. Super sport bikes are a hobby, especially in the US, so prices of these bikes stay relatively high, especially at dealerships. Although the days of buying a decent brand new car for under $12,000 are pretty much done, when you buy a sport bike, expect prices to start around there. Brand new 600s start between 10 or 11 grand, and then it only goes up from there. Leader bikes range from the big four from 15 to 19K, with special and race editions going from the mid 20s to even $30,000. Some super high-end models go for 40 to 50. If you want to pay to play for the cost of a Ducati Panigale V4R, you could buy your wife a new sedan or SUV. Single purpose. One of the biggest drawbacks to the Supersport is the fact that they are intended for one single thing. Unlike ADV, dual sports, cruisers, or even those gimmicky Groms, Supersports are just meant for racing. By racing, I literally mean they're for warm days, fair weather, paved roads, and tracks. There's not really another advertised purpose for these bikes. Maybe someone on YouTube converted one to a dirt bike or did something cool. That's great. But for the rest of us, we're stuck with a race bike when we're trying to ride in the rain or go to work on. Without the ideal conditions of warm weather, dry roads, and basically a racetrack, Supersports become these big and clunky bikes that have too much power for roads they weren't really intended to be on. Speed. Well, it looks like we have another two-sided topic. When it comes to speed, sport bikes are known to have it and plenty of it. They are fast AF, but the downside to all this speed, there really isn't a middle ground. So you've been ripping it up on a 300cc for quite some time and it's time for an upgrade. Literally talking about you, Sarah with the Ninja 300. When you get on a 600cc bike, it's night and day. The changes in speed and acceleration are insane. For those that are cautious, there aren't any bikes between a 300cc and a 600cc that are gonna kind of fill that void. Sure, you can look at a Ninja 400 or the Honda CB 500R, but the problem is even though the displacement falls between a 300 and a 600, they still feel like a 300cc variety because they have 2-cylinder engines. Nothing compares to the power of an inline 4-cylinder with 600cc displacement if you've never been on one. For this, speed becomes a con. There's almost no safe way of upgrading your displacement without getting those insane amounts of speed. For beginners on a 600, they do have riding modes that will adjust the computer's power output and response time. While this helps, you can still do 70 miles per hour in first gear. It'll more or less reduce the oh my god factor of accelerating, but even their slowest modes, they'll still outrun most of anything. That's why we do not recommend you start on a 600. So what do you guys think? Is it the joint pain or the kink in the neck completely worth it every time you ride? What happened that got you into riding a sport bike on the daily? Let everyone know in the comments, and thanks for your support. We've recently reached 580,000 subscribers, well on our way to the 600K number. Keep it up and let's keep it going. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Fact: sound travels through the air at 767 miles per hour. It travels through water roughly 4.3 times faster, and even faster through denser materials. That's why there's no sound in space, and all your movies are wrong. Goodbye.